blue side this time with that Nico ban, the Yuumi ban, and the Melio ban. There's no handshaking. There's no guessing games this time around. And the Jace ban also joins the table.
Not this time. So things sticking out to me. The Melio and the Yuumi being removed super early has now kind of enabled a different ban here in the Jace to be taken off of the table. So Vi still up as well. If WE or TT want to leave these tools up, they certainly can. But also, you know, the Lucian was so powerful for WE. I wonder if TT considered just removing it on 3, right? There's the Zeri ban. So could this potentially signal that TT, or W rather, want to have that Lucian army and not have to deal with that hyper late game scaling if they're not able to close out? Not only that, 1xN has just been very, very powerful on the pick throughout the season and throughout the series so far.
I do wonder how much Jinx priority rises here. Obviously, something that Hope is heavily, I would say, trended towards when it's open. But actually, the Lucian took priority last game. And we've actually seen the Jinx banned away previously in game number 1. WE looking for a first pick. This is something that would be a very, very nice facilitator, but also a skirmisher for WE in that early game. It's not the Maokai, but it's still good. The Vi comes through.
Yeah, so now as TT, I wonder if you're just thinking about like either going priority AD carry, but also the Ahri, right? You don't really want to have to deal with Ahri plus Vi. It's such a strong duo. If you are willing to give it up, then it has to be for something really, really powerful, but you also want the AD carry. So I wonder if it's something like a Felios plus mid inside of that Ahri, or if they give it up with what kind of powerful skirmishing jungler or team fighting jungler they look towards. Will it be the Maokai? Will we see something like the Wukong come out here from TT?
Well, there's a pick that we know and love. It was the Aphelios locked in for TT. I was surprised not to have already seen in the split in the series. But yeah, I do wonder now, as we're going to be going back over to WE side for 2 picks, they have a lot of things that are left open. It is just a blind again for Hoya for the Renekton, which worked out for them in game 1.
Yeah, it was really, really powerful. But I feel like WE, Hope gets his hands on this Jinx. And now, considering the Cassante as well, don't blame them. Super powerful. We know what it can do and can always just kind of play Stonewall here to the Renekton lane. Yes, it will lose in the early stages, but again, what it can actually provide in those team fights is where you're really looking towards some of the strengths of Cassante here, as now TT has to be the jungle role, right? We saw what happened when Hung had his jungle pool pinched out. No, they go towards the LeBlanc, and actually, I like this maybe a little bit more than my own personal suggestion. 1, LeBlanc obviously very powerful, but 2, can also deal fairly alright with the Vi, just because if you get ulted really early on, of course, you can just double the slot away, really push her into a position she doesn't want to be in. But now you get 2 protection bans onto the mid lane, where as things like the Annie and the Ahri weren't picked up here as those 2 very strong duos that go very well with this Vi, you can ban those away, and those are both pretty good matchups too into LeBlanc, which means Shanks is going to have to dig a little deep into his champion pool, right? Might have to lean on something like the Azir, or maybe even something potentially aggressive like the Silas. We'll see where exactly Shanks goes.
But you're definitely looking at frontline for the rest of TT. So WE seemingly knowing that, go and ban Yao Yao's Nautilus, which again was a very, very nice factor to have early on in this series. But it is the Lulu that falls up, so not going to focus on the Ahri ban, saying, you know, leave that one open, and we want to take away the combo with the Jinx.
I am kind of surprised. I do definitely respect the fact that TT have gone towards that Lulu ban, right? It makes sense, but here you should be going towards Beichuan's jungle pick, and again, with Wukong being up, it does make the most sense. Poppy also actually not too bad in terms of value already, right? You can use the Steadfast Presence on both the Vi and the Cassante, and then it also means that, you know, some other champions which could end up being here, right? Shanks, there's a pretty good call for him to go towards the Ahri. You can also lock that pick down. So I like this as an answer here for Beichuan, as hovers will start to come through. Let's see exactly what Shanks has in the pool.
Through every single champion you could ever possibly
apparently
want.
It's every single champ. Will they really go towards Rakan here when they already see the Poppy? This feels like a bit of self-sabotage. I think it's got to be said.
I do actually just want to go back to the Poppy pick, because I love Poppy right now in the meta. Also, its flexibility, but just the strength that you can have with very curious early pathings as well. It is the Rakan locked in, so like you were kind of mentioning, interestingly enough for WE.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's going to be able to supplement the Vi engage really, really well. And those moments where, you know, if you've got control of an area of the map, then yeah, of course, you're always going to be able to just very easily pick off a member. But I think beyond that, it's really, really difficult here to deal with that Poppy ever.
Do get that Ari we had talked about so long ago, it seems. But it is still a static ship builder to rival static ship builders. But also just a bit of a combo with that Vi. I think that's the crucial factor. I know coming into this series, it's really a lot of what we talked about was how these mid-jungle duos cohese. But now TT will find their unraveling mentor here with the Blitzcrank, as we've seen it just make huge splashes across the LPL when it's just randomly thrown into a series.
Yeah, and I mean, I was wondering, like, talking about that Lulu ban, they could have left that up, I feel like, W, and gone towards that. That's why I was considering that for Xi'an, but they land on it anyway. And of course, we now know, you know, when it comes to Blitzcrank, it can be useful from start to finish, or it can not do a whole bunch, but then it just hits that one hook, right? So we will gauge how strong the accuracy is here for Yao throughout this game. But it's very pick orientated for TT. It's very, you know, it can be very reactive considering WE's champion picks here. I think when it comes to team fighting and skirmishing, WE, if they pick up the first kill, right, resets for Jinx and the Ahri are always going to be terrifying. So TT want to try and break that apart and ensure that, you know, they're never walking in too deep to Fog of War and ensure that they're never getting pounced on.
Blitzcrank, a pick that Yao has brought out before, but has not won with it in competitive, at least. We're getting back onto the game, and a game 3 that I feel like I kind of felt coming, but after that game 1, I had my questions. WE answered those questions, and now we have in their home arena a bit of momentum building for Team WE. As Thundertalk Gaming take the rift against them, they have the tools that work for them in game number 1. They have the Blitzcrank to make something happen here and have that bridging factor for the late game carries. We got WE versus TT, and it's going to be a bloodbath.
It has to be. There are so many aggressive options on both sides that I feel like they could be at each other's necks here, WE and TT, for a lot of this game. I'm going to be very, very eagerly tracking the use of Steadfast Presence from Xi'an into what is a very, very mobile composition from WE. The opportunity to shut down so many engage tools is going to be crucial, and I think, you know, 1xN has been the big vocal point of this series for TT. Xi'an is going to be a major proponent of keeping that carry alive, just because of how much peel Poppy has available to her. Xi'an going to have to put it to good use.
And we have gotten some slower burns in this series so far. I feel like with this comp, though, with the Ahri and the LeBlanc specifically in mid lane, I do want to see a lot of influence from Hung and Xi'an to try to get in that 2v2 action. And maybe even looking towards Hope a little bit earlier on the Jinx, because if you can get a bit of gold early on onto Hope, we've seen him carry games multitude of times, as we do just get that trade in mid lane between the two.
Yeah, and Yukao, don't forget, right, it's the longsword start, so the attack speed rune also there, so Shanks actually loses out on that one. Does have the crafting pot though, so technically has more sustain. So we'll feel alright about that trade, as Hope and Iwandi just walking up and kind of acknowledge that they should have the slightly stronger level 1 and push back Yao and 1xN. Level 2 should be hit first by them.
What's your favorite Blitzcrank skin?
I think it's that boxing one there. Oh, Iwandi
Ooh.
goes a little bit wide on that grand entrance
Boxing Blitzcrank.
Yeah, boxing Blitzcrank is pretty
That's
fun.
a little sus.
It's look, I think Blitzcrank has got a pretty strong selection of skins, to be entirely honest with you. I think some of the recent ones have been really, really cool, right? The Space Groove one, where he's got
the Space Groove one.
Yeah, like that one's really funny. You know, what would be really sus if I was like, yeah, just Rusty Blitzcrank, man. It's just Blitzcrank, but
That would be a little more
bit darker.
sus. That's like an immediate emergency meeting. The other one's like, my eyebrow raised a little bit.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, you walked around the corner and you saw the vent close, but you didn't quite get a glimpse of who was closing the vent, right?
Mine is the Lancer Zero one. I think it's the dark version, not the light version.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, those skins are really cool. I will say, though, I don't know if it's like the particle effect of the hook, but I feel like I see really jank hitboxes of specifically that skin. I think it's because of the way that the
IO
arm looks.
Blitzcrank one too. The like
I mean,
Blitzcrank.
oh yeah, I mean, I Blitzcrank for years was banned from.
Yeah, it was
because it was so like the hitbox looks so odd. But I know it's re-enabled now. Iwandi should be able to dash back out as actually the first one to get interrupted. But with all of this priority, it's given Hung an opportunity to slip in and maybe get a look in on this blue buff. Not gonna be able to find it, and actually being engaged on.
Look at this momentum from TT. They're trying to play off it, but that's a nice re-engage.
Oh God.
Over from Iwandi. Now Bechuan, they've lost all of their damage, and Yao Yao is just left out. That's almost 2 kills. Yes, that's 2 kills to WE.
Oh man, the idea is so good. I actually really love it from TT, right? The collapse comes in, they have numbers first, but they just don't have the damage. 1xN couldn't move. I think he was still collecting the wave, or perhaps he pathed in a really funny way. Hopefully we get a replay with the minimap up to potentially see exactly why he was so late to this play. But it hands over WE 2 extra kills because they're not able to finish off Hung initially. And now we look back. What was it? Yeah, he kind of takes a 2-step back. I think he wants the wave, and maybe the comms weren't super clear. I mean, either way, right? The flash comes in for Yao Yao, the knockup's there, but there's just no damage. Iwandi's knock-up as well, you're totally right. I think finding 3 members and also blocking the ethereal chains means that Yukao can no longer offer anything to the collapse. And yeah, TT, unfortunately, outdone in the rotation, but also I think the fact that 1xN wasn't able to come and additionally add extra damage to this collapse means that it all falls flat on its face.
That was a flash burned in the picture-in-picture from Shanks as the gank came into mid lane from Bechuan. So TT not shying away from taking those early on engages, but just a little bit of a heads-up decision-making process from WE there. And really, really, really good stuff to get them ahead. They're already like 1.3k ahead so fast. And there was an Infernal Dragon early for Hung. And that all started because Hung decided to go early invade onto Bay, not let this Poppy get some of those unique paths we've seen.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the fact that Hung technically should have been punished for that, and it kind of comes up his way, probably feels a little bit bad for TT. But for now, we'll see what the comeuppance can potentially be if TT are able to find a few more plays, right? I feel like, again, the power of that Poppy pick into so many of these picks from WE, it can make their life engaging a little bit difficult. But speaking of engaging in,
that's going to be a big hook, though, and red-white, you've got a little bit of fight in you for TT. That's going to be some flashes over. Yukao has joined right on time, trying to get hope. One more auto attack to 1xN, gets his kill, and that's another one to follow. TT answer right back. Pow, pow.
Pow, pow, indeed. Red-white, a couple of plays are going to come up as well. We're post the 5-minute mark, so no empowered tower damage. A solo plate for 1xN, as well as the kills going the way of TT. This dragon taken down, and a lot of this movement here from Yukao being so much earlier than Shanks really helping out. It should have helped in the initial exchange once they were looking for Hung, but this time around it works out and it comes up TT and they get the dragon off the back of it.
The nice little answer to just get back on the map. We see how it all started. They thought maybe a little bit of a catch out onto 1xN. His movement's too quick. Hung's rocking around the corner, but this grab, beautiful.
It's great gun management too from 1xN. He has about equal left ammo on both Gravitum and Infernum, able to swap over to the red and white from just using the abilities to get to this gun combination, as well as rooting to set up for Yao Yao to make this whole play get kicked off. So really well played from him as well, and really easy collapse from TT as Hung, again, in the jungle of Bechuan. This time around will actually steal away a camp, as Bechuan will be unawares until he actually makes his way around the corner. Good stuff from TT on that initial exchange, and at the very least Hung, I guess, trying to pull back a little bit of jungle CS whilst this is all going.
Say it's the little things, you know. That's what they say, right? It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Does that still work in League of Legends, Shimada?
Yeah. You know, I mean, if you've ever been in a solo queue game where...
Don't hopium me right now. I'm the hopium guy. You can't, it's not about the journey, it's about the wins. It's about the dubs.
I don't know why, but I just... Do you know the meme of the guy that just screams yeah, and he's got like a cowboy hat on and he's in the mountains? I just imagine you
What are you trying to say?
With like
what are you trying to say?
Wind blowing in your hair. Nothing. I just imagine you as that guy who has all that hope.
I'll be that guy for you, as Hung is that guy for WE, setting it up for 1xN to go down.
Yeah, 1xN just can't do anything. Nothing else to say. Q over the wall, into ult, into knock up. Has no opportunity to use cleanse or flash. Not that I would have really saved him in this particular play as Hope. Will he get snatched here by Yao Yao? Looks like the answer is going to be no. As he shoves in this wave, so TT unfortunately find themselves on the end of what was really easy to execute play. There's no ward on the tri-bush, and yeah, I mean, look how it looks from the perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult, right? I mean, it's hard to even say they're super far up because 1xN could have been like 300-400 units almost further back and a little more in the middle of the lane, and Hong could have just flashed and connected with the R, right? And I1 they would have still been able to have followed up on all the damage. So not really much you can do in response there. Herald wasn't even really picked up. Unfortunately, Beige1 wasn't in a position to do so whilst that play was going on. So that's still on the map for both teams to scuffle over. We'll see exactly where priorities lie. As the Dragon is also 2 minutes away, we could see an exchange between that first Herald and the second Dragon.
Yeah, Beige1 looking to path up that way. We also just got static shot complete. Oh, UCal's going to have such an early item spike now as well. See how he can utilize it and push out some of these lanes. It looks like TT going to be the ones that start it up. Will be spotted out by the rocket from Hope.
Hoya eats a really meaty chunk of damage because of it, but Beige1 will come to collect the Rift Herald, maybe. No, actually, they pull off of it. So, a little bit worried. With Shanks being in Fog of War right now from a reset, or maybe he just dipped off the tower, just a little bit concerned about a collapse. So, WE will still pick up this Dragon just because of that chunk in. But now TT, finding a rotation through the mid lane, could have priority because of the Shiv, but the numbers a little bit too high here for WE. And the Herald will be picked up. Will a hook connect? No.
Be the angle or the devil. Right now, Yao Yao's the devil.
Oh man, you know, I just realized what's even more obnoxious about Blitz Poppy is if they're both on top of each other. Hook over the wall, right? You get knocked up by Yao Yao, and then Beige1 waits to hold the Steadfast Presence, and you just can't use your mobility spell out if you have one, besides the flash, right? So this combo is actually extra deadly in terms of locking members down. The plate was also taken there by 1xN, so more gold goes into his back pocket. We'll be able to hit that first item super soon, and not only that, has the call, which he's about to complete if he gets all the CS in the next wave. If it's a cannon, which it's not, as Hung actually looking for a play, potentially through the lane. But 1xN is nowhere to be found. He does not want to shove up at all, and like you mentioned, Rift Herald, potentially what is the end goal here. And we'll
give the goal to Hope. Jinx, he finally is able to play it again after how to play it, because people just banned it away from him. They can also use this push to reposition 20 seconds on a Dragon. Looks like Hung's just gonna wait. He's gonna do what everybody hates that solo queuers do, and just wait around for like 30 to 60 seconds and see if he can get something.
I mean, but these kind of silly plays work. Just
they
because you
work so well.
Expect someone to stick around. You don't expect someone to stick around for this long, right? It feels really, really obnoxious. So, very fortunately for T1, TT, I've done it again. Yao Yao.
Ooh, there's that hook. And now Yao Yao turns into an angle. No! Iwandi makes it out because he's still Recon, and there wasn't enough damage to follow up in the time they needed to take him out. TT do use this, though, to take Dragon.
Yeah, Keeper's Verdict a little bit late to, you know, continue the chain TC. I'm not sure if there would have been enough damage anyway to actually finish off Iwandi, but you can see how powerful that duo can be at locking down. You know, Rakan, Vi, Ahri, it's all going to be a very similar, you know, end result. They just either die or end up super chunked out as TT. Now, 2 dragons to the good of them. And can potentially look for a dragon snowball. Ooh. That's going to put a little bit of additional emphasis on WE to find some kind of exchange very, very soon where they actually look to contest one of these objectives.
Also, we got first item spikes. It is Everfrost for Shank, so not going to go the RE static Shiv build. We also just got Kraken Slayer completed for 1xN. Close to that 2 item spike, the new edition of Felios loves. But it's still been a lot of wave clear pressure from UCal being able to move out of mid lane, and that's just going to get worse from here on out. So Iwandi and the rest of WE hovering over this top side to get Hope some more plates.
60 seconds left until those plates drop off. Let's see what Hope can get done. Both AD carries have Kraken Slayer. Cole's also topped off, but this wave...
Never mind.
Not result
He doesn't
in
want
a
to
plate
eat.
takedown. He doesn't. Doesn't feel like it. And, you know, you did mention Shanks could have potentially gone stack shift. I feel like it sucks. I'm gonna lie, on Ari. At the very least. Maybe in the all-ins it feels alright. Hoya's popped the ult. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like Cube, just walks away.
No, it's wet noodles.
Yeah. And again,
Cube actually took a bunch of
plays
plays down there, by the way.
Oh yeah, he did. You're right. Again, a good couple for himself as, again, WE on the prowl, but TT, good positioning, good defensive vision, and we'll just acknowledge that, yeah, there is some shenanigans going on across the wall and will not be found out.
So we look back across at the vision game being put down right now. TT have a lot around mid trying to use that to help Yukao connect with Beichuan. But Yao Yao had been on the move. They had gotten the ADCs reassigned the top side of the map. We're just going to get a bit of calm before the storm right now. We got a Rift Herald in about 2 minutes. Dragon in 3. And side lane towers still holding up, meaning that Hung might look for a lane gank onto Hoya.
Definitely could consider it, right? All he really needs is for Cube to hit a Q3, dash behind Hoya and push him back even further, and the setup is there. But Taiwandi being shown on that ward, Hoya should have a pretty good understanding that it's likely more than just Taiwandi in the area. And TT will not fall prey, and Hoya will not fall prey to that potential play.
And we're checking in at now the setup for both of these sides. When we were looking at the priority needed for both of these mid-jungle duos, we're starting to get to a point where 1xN and Hope are going to be main focuses for both these two squads.
Yeah, Kraken's locked in, and second IM's their way.
TP from Shanks down bottom side?
I did not catch what that was for, so...
He was like walking top lane to go answer Yukao, but then TP now they've just found a play onto Hoya somehow. Sure. But he's a Renekton, and you lost the side lane tower already. Luckily, we'll be able to answer one back here quickly done by WE. But that was actually a nice little swing of gold both ways, so we're pretty much evened up.
Yeah, still evened up. Really interesting idea here from Shanks. I'm not particularly sure what for, but I guess they trade 1-for-1 on towers at the end of the day. As I think, again, that is the most obnoxious part about Shiv on the Blanc. And again, I'm surprised that, you know, if you've seen some of the patch previews, that it seems like they're just going to basically take the AP ratio off the Shiv. I feel like the biggest issue is how quick LeBlanc can charge it, more than anything else, right? You saw there, double distort basically meant you got 2 Shiv procs, Iwandi.
Oh, we got a nice little catch out into the combo here with that steadfast presence. You ain't going nowhere. Moonlight Vigil connects with the sniper shot from 1xN.
Yeah, man, it's such a high value pick. And it's such high value in Poppy and Blitzcrank. It's so hard to get out. I mean, it was double dash available, grand entrance available. He flashed and still died. Iwandi did. So TT just using this duo to near perfection, and now it's going to net them the Herald as well. Really well played.
So far, they've had really, really good objective control, and that should continue here. You got movement in mid. Rift Herald immediately used to try to take this outer tower because Dragon is coming up in 10.
Exactly. Herald will get dropped, and I don't think it's going to quite take out the tower. It's going to get close. Yeah, 200 HP or so left over. TT in front of this dragon. 1xN has red and white. He's actually about to run out of red, but he's got green. So it's honestly, it's his better gun combo out of the two. As now W have to walk into the range, the DPS, and they have to deal with Yukao on the side.
Oh, and there is the Keeper's Verdict. Get Cube out of there. Your front line's gone. Makes it a lot more difficult as Hope takes a huge trade from Yukao with that Night Harvester completed.
Yeah, and the Shiv bounces across everyone as well. Just strips away 100, 200 HP. With the Night Harvester proc, and yeah, not much that WE can do. But they're going to have to pull the trigger eventually. But again, the issue is, if TT know that there's a frontal engage coming, the Poppy just nullifies so much of it, right? You stop the Rakan from ever finding a proper engage onto 1xN. Shanks also has a very difficult time finding backline access because someone should be body blocking for a lot of it. And Beichuan can always just use the Keeper's Verdict on one of these frontliners. So I feel like WE are in a hole. Pretty big one.
What I said that Hope's trying to play mind games with him.
He does. I don't know what WE do, Mazel. I'm really trying to rack my brain here, and it feels like TT should always have priority in the lane they want, because Yucal can always be forced on the side lane to get that, and then as far as mid lane is concerned, just like putting numbers there with the Poppy on top of whoever is there just makes it impossible to be engaged on. So they're never going to have lane priority, and that feels like that's going to suck, because you would want to at the very least try and play off pockets of fog as WE, but if you don't have lane control, it's very hard to ever create those pockets of fog, as W at the very least will trade towers. But again, it just feels like, you know, a consolation prize at absolute best, and T
Also,
are still gonna trade up in these towers.
Also, just the fact that it takes two people to do that LeBlanc does by herself in the bottom lane. We do got a long con coming out from WE right now. 1xN is all by his lonesome, flashing, trying to get him in. Nice blocking from TT though. He's still alive. He's still kicking. The engage from Maiwandi. That's actually huge. Hope is about to get excited, but Hope is going down too. You might be excited, but you're excited about death as Yucal with the chains connects, and that's the final blow. Cube has to sit there in the bottom lane and watch as his team is ripped apart by literal animals.
Yeah, I mean, Cube wasn't able to get involved, maybe just didn't find the angle for the teleport, but it's really just an engage trying to be found by WE. It's a strong pincer, in all fairness, but, you know, despite even unfortunate part from 1xN, wasn't actually expecting this collapse. Look how quickly, it's a double flash to ensure that the charm doesn't connect.
Yo, get you some teammates like them.
I mean, you know, it's an AD carry's perfect dream, even though Iwandi finds 1xN eventually and gets on top of him. One thing to note, Hope actually auto-attacks Yao Yao amongst all of this mess.
No!
And I mean, to be fair, he still finds 1xN in the end of it, but I mean, it does feel a little bit unfortunate as chains connect on the very back end. And yeah, I mean, TT just have everything they need in this particular exchange. WE not able to find the moving parts of TT in an efficient manner.
Seeing Yucal, a bit of the focus out here in the side lane for WE. You can get the combo. It's pretty nice. He's already gotten the distortions out of there. Baron was warded up by WE, but TT are right back on the prowl.
Exactly. Now they can just push this mid lane wave in. They're always going to have Cryo, Deny, and remove all of this vision from WE, and then it's just fog, right, for WE. They practically see nothing in the river at the moment. They've got that ward behind the Baron pit. That ward in the pit is going to be cleared away. They've got that one ward which is alive, just hasn't been cleared out by anyone on TT.
It's on the flank. They actually kind of know that this is going on. Now Hope gets the rocket in. Hung is waiting. He's going in on 1xN. Look at him. They found the ADC. That's huge. Hope is excited, but is it going to be enough? Nice double knockback by Cube, and it's them taking something back from TTWE on this Baron. No! Okay, it was close, and it is WE who end up taking everything from TT.
Oh, it's a massive fumble from TT, isn't it? And 1xN is just in the middle of the pit, no summoner spells available, and Hung, you know, I felt like the angle was a little bit weird, but if you're able to find the engage on your half HP Aphelios on the enemy team like this, then it ends up being fine, right? And take a look, a little bit chunked out, and I think he starts taking aggro from the Baron. Yeah, he takes 2-3 Baron auto attacks whilst all of this is happening. Zap from downtown as well. It's just been completely one-shot whilst all of this is going on. Cube also double knockback onto Beichuan, onto Koya to ensure that they're not really able to try and repounce potentially into the mix of WE. And now Soul is up for TT, but they're not going to be able to actually have control of the objective for the first time this game.
Fight Night round 2. Got Yucal on the side here. Yeah, I was looking for a big pick, but all of TT have shown their faces here. It'd be the red-white Fight Night for 1xN, but it's still a difficult one for WE to just start up. Even with a lot of the strength we saw from them, it's still a part where they got the pick out they needed.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if WE can repeat this magic again. They're going to have to.
CTT move in from the bottom side here. You almost have the Severum out, but that also means A nice little combo coming up. Mid lane is the focus right now. Maybe they can catch him out. Oh! Yeah, I was looking a little bit devil-like right now, but you got Iwandi on a flank. That's huge. Nice blast cone kill. Will be big, but they've already gotten into the pit. And Iwandi with the wombo. There's no damage, though. They can turn this as they do. 1xN goes golden. You got Hoya trying to tank up there, but 1xN gets out. 1xN trying to make it happen, but the all-out comes through. You got TT forcing the soul now as it's 3 members for WE down. That's an Ocean Soul for TT.
I mean, honestly, the flank is good, but like you called out, there's just no damage to follow up, right? Shanks isn't close enough. Cube was elsewhere as well. And even though TT do lose their AD carry in the end, it doesn't really matter because they get the soul regardless. And Iwandi, I mean, actually he's on vision, so they have a pretty good idea that this flank is on its way. They just commit to the position that they're in. Hoya's in the pit, putting out a whole bunch of distraction. Double knock-up doesn't really amount to much because Hope in the pit dealing with Hoya. Shanks was making his way around. This stopwatch buys a fair amount of time, actually able to reposition with the Gale Force to ensure that Shanks and Cube have to commit more tools than perhaps they should have had to have initially. And now because of it with Ocean Soul, it's going to feel even harder to take down some of these tankier members in particular, but also if you don't 100-0 somebody immediately, it's always those last couple of ticks from Ocean Soul, which I always feel like is the most powerful part about that soul. Now Yukao just playing annoyance. I think he can run
He's just
down
playing
Cube
with his food right now. He's literally just gonna chase him down with the red buff. This is it. This is a long burn by Yukao. He wants to take him down. The Yao comes in and finish him off.
Oh, that's just so obnoxious, man. It's Lich Bane auto attacks, and I mean, in all fairness, Cube has built no magic resist, right? He's just picked up a little bit, but he's fully itemized for dealing with 1xN and Hoya. So just picked off by the one member he doesn't want to be staring down the barrel of. And now without the top laner of WE, T have a little more freedom to just take down this tower. And look how quickly Yukao.
Yeah, there's a reason that you don't let this pick through here. Like there is a reason why we haven't necessarily seen really any answers into it. I think sometimes it comes down to comp diff, but it's still a nuisance no matter what. And with that being said, WE find themselves at a bit of a deficit. An Ocean Soul down. They're trying to get back out on the map and make this combo work. It all stems off of a big catch out from Hung and Shanks to get Hope excited.
Yeah, it has to be a comeback from this Jinx. First kill will always be important here for WE because those resets can come through and be so critical to change some fights, but I just feel like they are so far behind WE in terms of what they can actually do on the map, right? Again, it's so difficult to engage if Beichuan stands on top of 1xN and they're just taking mid lane priority just to move into Fog of War. So if you can't really stop that pattern, you're always going to be on the back foot. So if you can maybe, you know, find an engage when Beichuan isn't on top of mid wave, then it feels all right. But again, look at this vision toggle because this is what WE see. It's complete darkness. And it's going to remain like that until basically TT say it's not going to be like that.
They have the decision-making power. Look at that goal difference as it goes up and down. The ebb and flow of this series has truly come alive. And honestly, I'll just say this has felt like the most LPL series I've had in a long while. A lot of our series have been a bit one-sided into slugfests and things like that, but this one has been chaotic. It's been fun, and both teams are just putting everything on the line. WE did not want to lose that first series. Yes, they ripped the Band-Aid off, but they were struggling to find wins. And TT, they have fought tooth and nail to even get the one win they have. They want more.
Yeah, they do. TT, what can they do to continue to press down on WE? WE actually, for the first time in a while, do technically have first move into the river if they want it, but it's so scary to check into Blitzcrank to Poppy. Yukao very, very spookily distorts forward, able to snap back instantly, of course, but Baron's on the table right now, so you make one misstep either side, you can very easily lose Baron buff. But Ocean Soul means that, you know, TT can actually, you know, exchange health bars pretty happily here as Yukao dashes forward again because he knows he's going to regen up. I mean, again, a little bit of poke damage comes in. Ocean Soul will come into effect and slowly start to heal back up. So WE, they have to find a fight and actually just hard commit to it. Hung's on a long flank.
Oh my god, that is a long con if I've ever seen it to do the Krugs. No, he's coming over the edge now. They are buying all the time, but there is some warning here.
H1's to the side. H1's to the side. They can actually find 1xN here.
Oh, he found him! He found him! Under 1xN! They just gotta get the damage! 1xN is down! What a flank! Oh my god, from WE! Hope is excited, but he gets grabbed! He's falling down to the crocodile! As 2 kills back and forth! It is that slugfest that we wanted! But TT still have their guns up, and UCal is looking to press them! As it's one more chain, one more auto, one more static shift proc, and Shake falls!
Shanks falls finally. It's a 4 for 2. TT are going to just look to do the Baron. They've got the Ocean Soul regen. It's going to be very slow, but it should be picked up nonetheless. Okay, never mind. The Blanc with Lich Bane and
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
This thing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Shanks and UCal are doing everything they can. Both these guys put out 7,000 damage in that last team fight, and I cannot wait to get a replay of this one because it is a classic, chaotic fight, but one that TT navigates well. And the way they did
so well, especially considering they lose 1xN so early on in the fight, right? The fact that H1 just stepped off to the side, just a moment of, you know, absent-mindedness, right? He kind of forgets what his role has to be. They're just A-ramming down mid. WE's engage is excellent, but now I don't even know if we're going to have time to even look at a replay because the Elder's up. So TT now in the river. I think the fact that 1xN has flash and Hope doesn't is going to be the big game changer here. Going to be able to reposition. So take a look at H1, see where he always is in correlation to this Aphelios, and find where Hung is on the opposite side, WE, how they're actually looking to angle for these engages.
Look at WE actually trying to commit over to this top side reverse flank of TT. They are in a bit of vision control for TT right now, but they'll see this coming. As UCal just wants to get a little bit of poke out on the Shanks. Will be the Everfrost used by Yao Yao. Going back in though, nice into the wall. They got the double knockup. Shanks is gone. That was a huge damage deal in the last fight. And 1xN, 1xN. Sniper doesn't hit there, but TT, they actually up in the fight. Shanks being gone is a big damaging blow to WE's team fight.
Yeah, and Cube has been forced to walk all the way back as well. So even if he gets the reset in, TP is going to be a very long while away. So this Elder Dragon is TT's, and they should be able to look to quickly siege onto the base. They've got a minute and a half worth of Baron power as well. And if they're very efficient about it, they can break open at the very least one inhibitor, look towards the bottom side after this mid lane push.
That big old 0 and a gray screen over Ari's portrait is the exact thing you want to see if you're a TT fan. Like, big moment for Shanks is gone, and the siege is here. WE are just being barreled down in their base. We'll see if Hoya now with the strength and the Elder Dragon and TT can put the final touches.
Yeah, they should be able to, right? It's so hard to contest now, WE. Not only do you just have effectively less HP because of the Elder, you are just so far behind. Baron buff siege as well. 40 seconds left on the Baron. Well over that for the Elder. If I was TT, I'll just look for the end unless they've got gold to spend. Even then, I feel like you don't have to do this by the books. You can just slowly chip away here into WE. Here's the teleport as well now from UCal, who's just finished off the death cap. And WE have to find a miracle team fight, Mazel.
One static shiv is like a quarter of 3 members of WE right there. So much strength we will see from TT in their final push. As we do have that minion wave coming through. You got about 5 seconds on the Baron buff. They just need to get some damage on the towers. Okay,
yep,
they do find one. A little bit of fight back here from WE onto Hoya. He does have GA though, he can tank it up. As Elder Dragon's gonna start flapping those dirty wings. There goes one. And you see maybe a bit of a follow-up from UCal to try to get some executions here, but TT back away.
How scared are they? I mean, they've got the Ocean Soul regen. Ooh. That tower is basically a UCal auto attack away from death.
So is Hope.
Nexus is open.
There's the final tower. Yukao going for hope. He goes golden because he knows what's coming. And as the Elder Dragon wings flap a few more times, you have to listen when the Thunder is talking, and they'll find their second series. Look at that excitement. It comes off of heartbreaking losses for Thunder Talk over and over again. And that is the gratification you love to see.
You can see what it means to Yukao.
King, man.
You can see what it means to him, can't you? As they're going to just go across, give the fist bumps over to W, who fought very valiantly throughout the entirety of this series. By all rights, should have actually just lost 2-0. Lost that previous game, but were able to claw it back. But for Thunder Talk, such a tough road it has been so far. So to find a win now, you know, it's still, no matter how you slice it, going to be a very difficult remainder of the split. But this win has to be such a confidence boost. This was a much different looking Thunder Talk to what we have seen throughout a majority of the split so far. And now they can look towards the remainder of the split to try and build on some of the positive notes that they surely have from today's series.
And I don't want to highlight it too much because it still was wins at the end, but man, Yukao's LeBlanc's looking really good with that static shift. And there was a key proponent to both of TT's wins, and it definitely came from pressure in the mid lane, and that man right there.
It did. I wouldn't be surprised if he has MVP for this final game as well, as he was so crucial to so much of the success on the LeBlanc. I mean, again, look at the relief.
Look at that relief, man. Oh my God.
You can see it. You really can. As we start to wind down on what was a super exciting series. I always say